Well, hey there, this is Jeff and Matt Kite and Tucker. You've asked for it. We're going to do a comparison today between the Duotone Slick D-Lab and the Duotone Slick, which came out in 2023. It's just the Duotone Slick.
Yeah, 2023 in the Dacron construction versus the Alula D-Lab construction. And I think on paper, they look pretty similar. You know, it's really hard to tell if there's any performance differences other than just the build and the material they're made out of and what that might, do for people out on the water, how that might affect your riding or your range or, what sizes you're picking, whatever. That's what we're doing here today.
Yeah, and we did a little bit on the 2023 Slick. But today, I got to ride on the D-Lab Slick, and you got some time on it.
Yeah.
So we just kind of want to go over our impressions, what would be things that stick out between the two, and is there something that separates them? This is what we could look at.
Yeah, and there definitely was. I think that was my first mind-blowing moment riding them both for some time now, is that there are, differences other than just the stiffness and the weight of the wing. I think, it doesn't really come through in a lot of the literature on that. You don't really hear people talk about it a lot, but in the Slick specifically, I feel like there's a pretty polarizing difference between your Dacron and your D-Lab construction. And I don't really know if that has anything to do with the shape, if they've changed the design. I would say they probably had, just because the difference is so stark. But I don't really know. There's nothing I can point to looking at them side by side and saying, oh, this is different, other than just the material.
The shape seems very similar.
Yeah, very similar. There might
shape,
be, a slight difference in the profile of the canopy.
You're referring to changes they might have made from the previous versions to the new version when they went to the D-Lab.
Yeah, I'm referring to the difference between the Dacron 2023 and the D-Lab. But they're pretty different, and I think you had a similar experience to me. What I realized was, number one, the D-Lab is a lot faster. It's better upwind. It's obviously a lot lighter and stiffer, but it does, I feel like, lose a little low end, which is interesting because usually with a stiffer wing, your pumping is a little bit more crisp. But I do feel like you lose just a tiny bit on the low end as compared to this Dacron version, which is interesting. Which is why I say, maybe there's a little more to it than just the materials. But
they both, though, speaking of that, have a great range for a wing.
Certainly.
That when I think of the Slick, that's what I think of, their range. They can, like you just mentioned, I would agree with you for whatever reason. It felt like the D-Lab was a little bit more effort to get up on the foil, but I felt that once up on foil, instantly felt like not much friction and light feeling and drive straight up wind. I mean, just boom. It feels like it just wants to take off. Has a little lifty feel, light feel in your hands. But even though, like today, because the wind really picked up.
Yeah.
And so I didn't need to be on the 5, but I felt even powered up, it seemed to handle itself well. There wasn't a lot of back wind or, on both sides. I felt like when you positioned it just right, it still handled that upper end, the D-Lab.
Yeah.
You and I think, it's been a while now. It was really cold the last time we were on the Duotone Slick. Was it a 4 meter or 5? I don't remember if it was size it was in.
5, I believe.
5,
yeah.
So it was similar. I do remember that, having range too. Really being able to get up on foil a little easier, and then once on foil, even when it started to get, I think it was snowing that day, and it started really blowing, and I felt like I could handle the gust. So that's something that stands out to me that may be similar when I think of Slick, just that they're able to handle that, the high end, the range is there.
Yeah. The other thing I always think of when I think of a Slick is just the ease of use and how intuitive they are. We call it the easy button at the shop. Part of that's the boom. You can't miss it. You can move your hand anywhere you want, and you can't screw it up. Part of it too is just how well natured that wing is, and it's just very easy to ride.
You can cheat waves with it.
Totally.
This morning I put it out with one hand. If you put your hand in the right spot, I mean, literally, you can just ride.
Yeah.
And drop it a little bit, ride down the small little swells we were riding today, and then open it back up. So that's what I really do like about the boom.
Yeah.
We're not here to talk about boom versus not the other handles, but that's one thing that's nice about it. I do find, I think I remember talking, I felt like my front hand far forward.
Yeah, it almost all the way forward on the boom for me as well. Most of the time, I mean, if I'm just kicked back in a harness line cruising, my hands are a little closer together just for ergonomics sake and just cruising, leaning back. But yeah, it's good. And you know, really one thing that was apparent to me when I rode the D-Lab is like, wow, this thing is high performance. It's could be a race breed kind of a wing.
Well, we did a little upwind today, tax speed, right, straight up into the wind. And when I was on the Duotone unit before, and then we switched. And when I got on the Slick, I mean, instantly my tack line was,
you could
I was on a bigger wing. It was a 4 to 5, but even though I could tell, it has drive. It wants to drive up.
Yeah, it wants to drive upwind. It wants to create speed, and it's so stiff it doesn't deform and lose that efficiency. And yeah, just being so lightweight in the D-Lab construction, it's just, the thing's a feather. You put it anywhere you want, flip it around, and it goes there. It's just so effortless with that lightweight. In the normal Dacron's quite light as well, but I mean, going from that even to the D-Lab, it's like, whoa. This thing.
I know you as a customer has asked us, is it worth the money to go to the D-Lab? My coined answer has been, I think it is in larger sizes. I'm not sure that you're going to get all the benefits from your money in the lower sizes. I don't know. That's just been from my experience flying wings in general.
Yeah.
Once you start to go to those smaller sizes, everything just feels, I don't know, man, it feels good. It's just everything's smaller, lighter, you're powered up more. So maybe that kind of compensates for the characteristics of the wing. I definitely tell the customer when they ask me in those larger sizes, maybe the 5 and up could be the point for that. I haven't been on a D-Lab smaller than a 5 yet, so I can't speak from experience.
And I've ridden some smaller ones, and I've ridden some other Alula wings in smaller sizes. What I would say is, it's really hard to make a decision like that for anyone. If you're riding a lot and you have the cash to spare, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be worth it. You're gonna hang on to it for a long time and enjoy it. In high winds in those constructions, I do love them because the wing doesn't fold. So when you get into those high winds, you have just such nasty power. A lot of times it's gusty, and they're smaller leading edges, right? So like they're just folding more, especially if you're looking to go out with power and ride fast or jump or something like that. I mean, you look at those Dacron wings in a 3 meter or whatever, and you're really reefing into them, you can see them just hinging. So having that higher pressure, having that stiffer material, I think, for me, you don't get that janky pop kind of, deformation that you get from Dacron sometimes. And, just allowing you to go to a higher pressure, stiffer material, just keeps the wing efficient, keeps it flying the way it's meant to fly rather than deforming and just kind of becoming this bag of crazy and, flapping. It just becomes a lot more chaotic.
To piggyback on that, most of my experience on the D-Lab has been in the larger sizes, and I love them. I mean, I think a lot of it too is because they are lighter, and the leading edges seem to be at a size that you don't have. When you're up and riding the light wind, the efficiency you need for drag is really apparent. So I have found with the D-Labs, could be to their design, their stiffness, they seem to have less drag in the air. I seem to be able to nail my jives better. And we're talking real light winds here, like down to 10, 12. I have really felt that's where that material seems to really shine. Obviously, years of kiting, the D-Lab, that's another spot where I found that they're, kind of a little bit above the other materials. It's just range and that lightness and that light wind. You just seem to get that little extra performance edge. That may feel a little like a wing may get a little more duller in lighter wind that's not made of that D-Lab. So that's something that stands out to me when I think of D-Lab and the material and the benefits of it.
And we're hot on the D-Lab. Obviously, it's amazing. It's high performance. We love it. We're just out ripping on it and good wind. So we're kind of on a high here. But who's the Dacron version for? And I would say, number one, anyone that doesn't want to spend that kind of money, I'd probably looking at a regular Slick if I was spending my hard-earned money on it, just because I don't have that kind of disposable income. I got 5 kids, all kinds of animals and stuff, so I got other priorities. But that being said, if I did, I would definitely go for the D-Lab because I'm riding fast, I'm a heavier rider, I like to ride powered, and it does all that really well. I would say racers for sure are going to want the D-Lab treatment. Beginners, I think you can go either way. I think, you know, you'll appreciate the lightweight feel.
Yeah.
I think it's something you'll grow into and appreciate more.
You don't know what you don't know. I don't think it'd be that.
But yeah, you don't know,
Hold
you
back.
don't
It
know.
wouldn't hold you
so-
back then. We're talking about small increments of performance enhancing. That as you become a better rider, you tend to notice.
Yeah, and both of us said, you know, I think the Dacron actually has a lower end.
It does.
Slightly, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe not by much, but it is slight, and it does have, I feel, a little bit more lift than the D-Lab does.
That's why in the smaller
So it just
sizes,
makes it a little easier to get on foil if
Yep.
you're struggling, if you're a new rider, if you haven't built that technique yet. So yeah, I would say, you know, if you're not somebody that wants to hang on to your wing and progress into a high performance, or you're just a slower progressing rider who's going to be replacing that wing, by the time they get there, you know, I think the Dacron is phenomenal. It's great in the waves. As you can tell from our review that we did on that one, we're really stoked on it.
I was
mean,
stoked.
it was-
Yeah,
it's amped.
it's kind of been a couple other riders, local riders we have been able to get them on it, and they're feeling the same thing. They like where Duotone's gone with the 2023, with that slick model, and it performs well. So when we're cutting hairs, again to kind of reiterate, the stiffness, the high performance, the lightweight feel are things that stick out to me with the D-Lab.
Yeah, so two great options. Really can't
Yeah.
go wrong, I don't
No.
think. But if you're looking for that extra edge, whether that's
light
riding more
wind,
powered,
bigger
or riding,
sizes.
or racing, or
Yeah.
you just want the lightest, most high performance feel, then yeah, shell out that money for the D-Lab, and you'll be a happy camper out there with the gold. Looking
Like
like
this morning.
King Solomon.
They do look good. They do look good. I agree. They look good.
They do.
I like that. But
They're sharp. Yeah, there's something about the sparkly.
But hey, yeah, we're here to help you out with your questions. Hope this helps clarify a little bit the differences between the Duotone Slick and the D-Lab. Hit us up with chats, our website. Give us a call. We'll help you try to make the decision to get you on the right wing.
Yeah, 100%.
It's been Jeff and Matt Kite.
And Tucker, see you next time.
Right on.